So today we're going to start with our second unit called as time value of money. Let's look at the overview, what all concepts we're going to cover in this chapter. Let's look at what is the time value of money. Second, why the value of money keeps changing over the period of time. And next we'll look at the techniques of calculating time value of money. And the last part is let's look at the various formulas in this chapter. So what is time value of money? First thing, let's compare. Okay, let's compare the household expenditure from 1970 to 2020, right? Have you heard of our grandparents saying that they were able to run their entire home expenditure, their bills, their medical expenditure, their entire rent, everything? Maybe at times their salary would be just 5 rupees. Just 5 rupees in those days, they were able to run the entire household expenditure. But today, even with the growing income that we have, growing living standards that we have, we are still able to not meet our needs actually, right? So this is what we are going to talk about. What you can afford, what you were able to afford at 5 rupees couple of years back at the late 90s, today you definitely can't afford. Okay, again, for the same amount of money you can, for 5 rupees you were able to run the entire household expenditure, but today for 5 rupees maybe you can just afford a chocolate maximum, right? So can you understand the difference of what all can you afford for the same amount of money at two different time periods? Okay, now every time, remember, when I'm going to talk about money, right, I need to remember two things. Number one is amount and number two is time. If I'm going to come and tell you, I want you to invest into this particular investment avenue, your first question to me is how much amount, right? If I'm talking about money, your first question must be how much, what is the total amount of investment? Second, you'll ask me what is the time period that I have to lock in for the investment? Is it a year, 2 years, 10 years? What is the time period? So every time I'm going to talk about money, I need to remember two things: the amount of money and the time period of investment. So it is always said to start early and invest smartly. So the earlier you start investing, the earlier you will reap the return of investment. Is that clear? Now, if you could say, if you have invested, especially this during this entire pandemic period, starting from 2020, all of us had bills to pay, but the inflow of cash was very much less. But for those who were able to make enough savings, okay, for those who were able to make enough savings, today those companies were able to survive. If you can remember the word transfer to general reserve or general reserve, etc., there you can remember companies started keeping a part of their profits as reserves. Today, how are they able to invest still? It is because of their savings. It is because of the reserves that they kept aside back then when they earned profits. Okay, so it is always wise to start early your investment and invest smartly. Okay, now those of us salaried people always try to open a recurring deposit account to avoid unnecessary expenditure and start saving or start investing money. Because why? Every time you invest, you always get a return. When you save money, you don't get a return, but when you invest money, you get a return. The reason is, if you're going to keep your entire savings of, let's say, 1 lakh rupees at your home for 2 to 3 years, is the money going to grow? Is the money going to multiply? Definitely not. Money is not going to multiply by keeping it at home safe and secure. When does the money grow? Money will grow only when you invest into an avenue. It can be gold, or it can be bank account, or it can be government debenture, post office savings, etc. There's so many investment avenues for you to invest. So let's look at the meaning. What exactly is time value of money? It is the difference between the value of money received today and the value of money received tomorrow. So as I explained to you, the household expenditure from maybe 50, 20, 40 years back to the current period, the difference between why the value of money has changed, the rupee value has increased or decreased, that difference is called as time value of money. Now, why does the value of money change? Because of purchasing power, inflation, investment, future. Okay, there are 4 different aspects. What is purchasing power? It is the number of goods or services purchased with a unit of currency. Now, always if you have come across what is the exchange rate, 60 rupees or 65 rupees is equal to $1. That means to say what the Americans can afford with $1, we need 60 rupees to afford the same in our Indian economy. Okay, that is called as the purchasing power, which directly impacts the second point called as inflation. It refers to the rise in the prices of the goods and services of daily or common use. Okay, now back then, if our grandparents were able to afford kgs of rice, maybe 5 kgs of ragi, 5 kgs of rice within paise, right? Now today paise are not even in our terminology. We start with rupees only, right? Now back then they were able to afford that with 50 paise or 25 paise, but today it is increasing. 1 kg of ragi might be 20 rupees, or 1 kg of ragi might be 50 rupees, etc. So inflation is the rise in the prices of goods and services of daily or a common use. Next up is future. A good example is if my friend wants to owes me a money of rupees 10,000 and the person says I'll pay to you after 1 year. I would refuse to take that money after 1 year and I would ask him to give it right today. The reason being, future is always uncertain and risky, because who knows, he might even back out from paying that money to me, or if he becomes insolvent, or if he God forbids, even if he dies, right, then the money that has to return back to me I will be losing that money. So therefore, the future is always uncertain and risky. Now today, if we look at this pandemic, if companies or people were not able to have enough reserves or provident fund, etc., during this lockdown period, people wouldn't be able to afford their necessities, because we had pay cuts, salary were getting reduced salary, or 30% pay cut was there, or 50% pay cut was there, or even people were losing their jobs because of the entire lockdown period. Now how were they able to meet their needs? Because of their reserves, or because of their savings in terms of bank account, savings in terms of provident fund. People would have withdrawn PF. Even if you remember, government had made open the window for people to withdraw their provident fund. Why? Because they were not able to earn their salary, or they even lost their jobs. Okay, so future is always uncertain and risky. Fourth one is investment. A rupee has more value today than a rupee received after 1 year. The only reason I would say this example, again rupees 10,000, the reason is that if that 10,000 if I receive today, what big difference would that make, ma'am? That 10,000, I would open a bank account, open a fixed deposit account and put that 10,000 in that account, and let's say the bank offers me 10% rate of interest on 10,000. So that is 1,000 rupees extra. So the 1,000 rupees, if I receive after 1 year from my friend, the value of money is not going to change. It is still 10,000 rupees. Instead, if I receive it today and if I invest it, I'm going to earn a 10% rate of interest, and it becomes 11,000 rupees after 1 year. Is that clear? So that is the time value of money. So that is the investment perspective. So investors always tend to invest today rather than invest tomorrow, because the value of rupee keeps changing, or keeps is very dynamic due to the changes in the economy, changes in the supply demand, changes in the market conditions, business, etc. So that's why we often say time is money. So the earlier invest, the better returns would you look forward to. The two types of techniques, basically compounding and discounting. What is compounding? What is the value of rupees 1,000 invested today after 5 years? So the best example is fixed deposit. If I invest 5 lakh rupees or rupees 1,000 today and earn interest for the time of 5 years, what will be my total sum of money after 5 years? That is my principal amount plus my interest amount. So that this entire process is called as compounding. Second is called discounting. It is If I have to receive 5 lakh rupees after 5 years, how much should I start investing now? Now, if there's an insurance agent coming to you and asking you to take up a policy, it can be motor insurance, it can be LIC, or it can be any kind of insurance. The first thing the person is going to talk to you is going to say it is a 10 lakh rupees coverage. Now, is that money, will that money be received by you? No, it's the money in the future that you will be receiving in the coming years. It's a future sum of money. And how much should I start investing now? So first he's going to quote you the policy amount that you will be receiving in the future, and then he'll come back to the premiums that you have to pay. You got the difference? First I'm talking about the future amount. With respect to that, I start calculating, okay, from today or from the next month, how much should I start saving amount for the purpose of paying my premiums. So that is called discounting technique. Let's look at the concepts of time value of money. Compounding. It is the process of determining the future value of present money. What is discounting? The process of determining the present value of future cash flows. So what is present value? It is the present worth of a future sum of money. Okay. So best example is insurance policy. Future value, value of present sum of money at a future date. Best example is fixed deposit account. What is annuity? It is the fixed sum of money paid towards a scheme at equal intervals of time during a particular duration of time. And annuity is of two types. In simple, if you want to understand what is annuity, it is your regular EMIs that you pay to any loan that you have taken in a bank. Now, let's say you have taken a loan for purchasing a car. Of course, you wouldn't pay the entire car, value price one shot. You will make a down payment, purchase the car or take the possession of the car, and then you decide upon how much EMIs or monthly installments that you will have to keep paying. Now, that is called as annuity. A periodical payment of a sum of money is called as annuity. Two types, ordinary annuity and annuity due. Ordinary annuity means payment occurs at the end of each time period. Is that clear? At the end of each time period. Now let's say you are starting with January. So January 31st, Feb 28, March 31st, April 30. So these are the time slots you're going to be making the payment. On the other side, what is annuity due? Jan 1st, that is beginning, Feb 1st, March 1st, April 1st, etc. So that is when you'll be making the payments. Okay, so that is ordinary annuity, payments making at the end of the time period, and annuity payment making at the beginning of each time period. Next concept is risk. What is risk? It's the possibility of loss or chances of financial loss. There are two types of risk. One is controllable and one is uncontrollable. Controllable, as I always say, as name itself says, you cannot control it. You cannot control it, but you are affected largely by it. Okay, you are affected largely by it. Number one, market risk. Market risk refers to performance of market. Now let's say there is a social unrest in the society, right? There's communal clashes in the society, there's flood in the society, etc. Whatever is happening in the economy. During that time period, can I have a boom in the market? Can my company have a good amount of sales, a good amount of turnover of profit? No, because the market itself has certain difficulties or challenges for me to perform well. So market risk is performance of market. Political risk, change in government policies. Okay, any change that the government or the parties in the power make that will negatively impact our company or our business procedures or decision making is called as political risk. If it is positively impacting us, then we have no issues, we are happy with it. But if it's negatively impacting us, then it's going to make a it's going to create a political risk for us. Third, economic risk. So here I'm talking about exchange rate. Now this will affect mostly those are involved into export and import trade. Now let's say I want to export to Germany, I want to export to Japan, right? The exchange rate, how much rupees is equal to 1N is what I need to consider for my export trade, right? If for this is just an example, not a reality. If let's say 20 rupees is equal to 1N, okay, that's the exchange rate. Now let's say because of supply and demand and all the market changes, now this 20 rupees has increased to 25 rupees equals to 1N. Okay, so when this exchange risk keeps changing or increases or decreases, then it will affect my business negatively. So you understood what is the, if there is a change in exchange rate that is going to affect me, then that is called as economic risk. Let's say on the opposite, 20 rupees was 1N, right? What if the exchange rate falls down and it says 18 rupees is equal to 1N? Then am I negatively getting affected? No, I am positively impacted. So it's going to save me 2 rupees every N that I pay. The fourth one is interest rate risk. Now, usually it happens for the banks when they fix the interest rate, right? Changing of interest rate, either it is increase or either it is decrease. If you can remember, when we are studying IFM subject, where there we discussed how do I control the money supply in the economy? How do I control the money supply in the economy? Either is it by increasing the cash flow or decreasing the cash flow? The best answer is, if I want to increase the cash flow, I will decrease my interest rate. Once the interest rate is low in the bank, all of them want to take up loan. It can be personal loan, car loan, whatever that is, everybody will rush to take the loan. If I have to decrease the cash flow, what would I do? Increase my interest rate. Seeing the interest rate itself, people will postpone or cancel the plans of taking a loan. So that way, I can curb or I can reduce the cash flow in the economy. If you can look at that picture, see where the arrows are moving towards. Interest rate increases, then the demand for loans will decrease. On the opposite, if the interest rate decreases, the demand for loan will increase. The second part is controllable risk. There are three types here: business risk, operations, and financial. Business risk is simply, for example, change in fashion, right? You have designed a set of clothes. If I'm into a textile business, I'm into a set of clothes. I've manufactured and kept it in the godown, sealed it. And the very next day, the entire fashion, statement of people or the change in taste and preferences of people have changed. Okay. Now what happens then? People will refuse to buy this old stock or this old fashioned clothes. Now, is it a loss for me or is it a profit for me? It's a complete loss because nobody is going to buy my clothes, and all that labor that I invested, all that effort that I took to convert raw material into finished goods, entire investment is a loss. So that is called as business risk. So that is always the reason why businesses have to have a research and development department in their company. Only reason is I need to check into the future. What are my upcoming challenges? What are the upcoming changes? After which I need to adapt myself. If I don't adapt and I just manufacture my own kind of products and services and keep, there might be a day that will get extinct. Or there might be a day that those goods and services are no more appreciated or no more used in the market or used by the consumers. Second is operational risk. In general, it is the employee errors or system failure. Suddenly there is a breakdown of in the office, right? There's a short circuit in the office, or the employee has unintentionally deleted all the confidential files of the company. Okay, these are the human errors, which is called as operational risk. Financial risk at the last is payment of interest to banks or debentures. Now, if I've taken debentures, borrowed debentures, I have to pay them interest irrespective I make profits or I face losses? Yes or no? Irrespective of profit or loss, I have to pay them interest timely. Now, what happens when I don't pay them? They can sell the company's assets and recover their money, how much ever it is recoverable. Therefore, financial risk, I need to understand what is my credit worthiness, how much financial risk can I take. Only up to that I have to borrow debenture. If I take too much of debenture, then I have to be aware of the financial risk, because if I fail to make the payment, I may have to end up in selling my assets. Is that clear? These are the three controllable risks which is within my control. Can I control these types of risks? Yes, it is completely within my hand. Whereas your uncontrollable risk is beyond your control. Me as a single company, can I control the entire economy? No, I cannot control the economy. But am I affected by it? Yes, I am affected by it. Even politically, I can't go control the political parties' decisions. But whatever decisions they make and it is passed or signed and becomes an act or becomes a law, I have to follow it no matter what. Economic risk, there are so many things that affect an exchange rate, and I as a single company definitely can't control it. Interest rate risk, it is decided by the RBI and followed up by the commercial bank. No single company or no single institution can control it. Whereas business risk, can I control it? Yes. By how? Constantly looking into the research and development department, right? They have to give us an update of what are the upcoming challenges or changes. Second is operational risk. That is exactly, I need to train my employees in the according to the company's requirements. And financial risk lastly. The terms future value is denoted by FV, present value is denoted by PV, rate of interest is denoted by small I, number of years, that is the time period, is denoted by small n, principal is denoted by capital P, and annuity is denoted by capital A. I want you to remember all these terms because these are the terms which you will be addressing in the when you're trying to solve the problems. So these are the different kind of formulas or different kind of practicals we're going to do in this chapter. Problems on future value, problems on present value, problems on doubling period, problems on bond or debenture, then problems on preference shares and problems on equity shares. So these are the 6 different topics we're going to start solving problems.